Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be going over some ancient internet history, although maybe not that ancient. We're going to be going over my top 5 weird or WTF flash games. If you like what you see, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. It'll help out the channel. And without further ado, here we go to number 5. Number 5. Next up on the list is going to be 2 games in 1. Waffle Boy's Jungle Adventure and Waffle Boy's Mountain Adventure. A simple side-scrolling platformer made to advertise Post-Cereal's Waffle Crisp was created by Smashing Ideas and released on the Postopia website in 2004. This game is very simple and consists of a plot line revolving around saving post-cereal characters. The reason why it's on this list, however, is because the game Mountain Adventure, according to the Lost Media Wiki, is still considered lost to an extent. Only a few portions of the game have been found as recently as 2021, and the search is continuing for it. The reason for this is because there is a large amount of information and a large amount of files that have seemingly been lost with the departure of Flash from web sphere. These games suffer from a lot of the same issues that a lot of Flash games, especially in the platformer area, suffer from, which is floaty and hard to use controls, leading oftentimes to accidental deaths, which can be incredibly infuriating. When my girlfriend, who actually did the gameplay for me, learned that she could still play these games, she was very excited, and I think soon after she was not very excited anymore due to the controls. But due to the fact that media preservation is incredibly important, I'm putting this out there so that way, in case anybody sees this who has any information about Mountain Adventure, to contact someone from the Lost Media Wiki so we can try to get some more information on it, even if it isn't the most exciting game in the world. Number 4. Lab of the Dead is a game that was uploaded to Newgrounds by Evil Dog Games in 2011. It sort of serves as a almost undead Tamagotchi style of game in which you play as a scientist who has survived the zombie apocalypse, and through your recordings and your different research notes, you try to learn more about the zombies in an attempt to try to humanize them in a way. There's many different points of interaction that you can have with the zombies, whether it's beating them up, feeding them, playing with them, just in general trying to take care of them, hence the undead Tamagotchi aspect, with there being 12 different types of specimens. It's a game that does include a storyline for those who would be interested, and it is a fairly long storyline. But if you want just a simple time waster in which you mess around with the undead in a way that's probably not very realistic, then this is probably the game for you. Interestingly enough, this game was at one point in time available for mobile phones. However, as much as I'm trying to look into it, I can't seem to find the reason why it's not available, at least on iPhone. It might be available on Android, based off of this result from Amazon.com, but I'm unsure of if that's actually true or not. Nevertheless, it is still available on Newgrounds via the Newgrounds player, or of course the Flashpoint application, which serves as an archive for all these Flash games you're seeing here today. Number 3. Block Soars, a game that I fondly remember playing when I was in middle school on Cool Math Games. It was developed by Roboman, and it's a very simple premise. You move a block across platforms and try to get it into a hole. Oftentimes the platforms can be kind of confusing if you don't know what you're doing, and you'll fall over. It's a game that really isn't too complex, but can provide hours of entertainment, or at least enough to fill one class period, as many students would find out when they used cool math games to waste time in computer class. I remember playing this a lot, and I don't even really know why. It's not necessarily that I enjoyed it, and it's not necessarily that it's very fun in the conventional sense. I just recall playing it constantly when I was in school. I don't know if there was ever a sequel made. I couldn't find any news on a sequel. I think this one was just kind of a weird keynote in the history of the internet and in terms of Flash games. But that's why it's on here, because it just existed and was loved by school kids who just wanted to waste time. Number 2. Thing Thing 4 is the final game in the Thing Thing series created by Diseased Production. It was hosted to Crazy Monkey Games in 2008 and served as the final chapter for a 4-game long story that they had been bringing together. It is an incredibly violent and gory side-scrolling shooter that is also very difficult. I remember I was first shown this game, I want to say in 2008 when it came out, by a buddy of mine. And being, of course, the edgy middle schooler that I was, I fell in love with it. Looking back now, it's still kind of fun, even if it is a little bit much in terms of gameplay controls and the difficulty spike that it has, and just completely random parts of the game. But it is a pretty enjoyable time. I won't get too much into the story because it may not be the most complex story, but it does range from 4 games. And so there's a lot to unpack with it. If there was interest for me to cover that, I'd probably wind up doing it in a separate video. But it all revolves around you clearing a certain number of enemies from each room to progress to the next stage. So in terms of gameplay, it's very easy to pick up once you've gotten the controls under use. It also features a large amount of weapons that you can unlock through gameplay or through completing various milestones, all of which become available to you in the armory that you unlock after you complete the game, with a couple of different modes enabled afterwards too. It is a very big Flash game. I remember when I was first playing through it thinking, wow, this is a lot. And I was able to sink a ton of time at school playing this. And still don't understand how I was able to get through the school's firewall to be able to play this. But for some reason, they didn't have Crazy Monkey Games blocked. And probably would have gotten into a lot of trouble if one of my teachers saw me playing this in school. But nonetheless, it is pretty fun. It's definitely shown its age. 13 years later, there are certain parts where the game will just chug, just to the point of being unbearable, and responses become very slow. And it's not an issue with my system; it's literally just an issue with the game, probably because they were trying to do so much with it. But if you want to check it out, it is still hosted on Newgrounds and Crazy Monkey, and of course on Flashpoint, which is how all this recording has been gotten. Number 1. Finally, for our number 1 spot, we have Super Smash Flash. This was a game that I played a lot. I mean, a ton of as a kid. And most of it was because in the time that it came out, being 2006, it was the only Super Smash Bros. Like game that just featured a huge roster of non-Nintendo characters, ranging from Cloud to Supersonic, Naruto, Lloyd, Mega Man characters, even fan-made characters such as Blade, I'm assuming a Sonic OC. And all of this was done again in 2006 by a company called McLeod Gaming, which was founded by Gregory McLeod. And this was kind of revolutionary to me and to some of my friends because you could play as all these characters that just didn't exist in Nintendo games. It would be a long time before Nintendo would start doing what they're doing now and having non-Nintendo IPs in their Smash Bros. Games. The gameplay consisted of really kind of three major game modes. You had your melee, you had your classic, and you had your adventure. And the adventure would then be split up into another three modes, which would be your standard fighting, the adventure maps, I guess is the best way to call them, and then certain mini games like target practice, something more standard to see, and melee. The biggest problem as I revisited this game was the controls are just very bad. Very, very bad. I don't know how I was so good as a kid to be able to 100% this game, but I must have had a lot of time on my hands. The jumping is extremely floaty. The movement is extremely floaty. Attacks, the hitboxes are strange. If you have a friend who's good at melee, you should go ahead and bring him over here, because then you'll be able to figure out who's the better Smash player, because I promise you, you will both have a hard time playing this game. It was registered for some awards, which was pretty cool. And like I said, at the time in 2006, I mean, this was a pretty revolutionary thing to see. This was Smash Bros. For the computer. It was kind of just unique. It was its own unique bubble. Nintendo and the other IPs didn't want to touch it. It seemed like either it just didn't get enough traction, or Nintendo hadn't figured out how to use the internet yet, which is very possible. But this kind of paved the way to leading to a bunch of other spin-off of Super Smash Bros. Games. There's a lot of other ones featuring different IPs, all Flash games with the same kind of gameplay. Stuff I won't get into here, just things I remember from being a kid. But the reception was so good, they began working on a sequel, I think almost immediately. And amazingly enough, the sequel, aptly named Super Smash Flash 2, is actually still in development even up until December 23rd of 2020. So almost 15 years later, they're still working on the sequel. And that just might be enough cause to check it out. I remember updates coming out as a kid, and it was blowing my mind. So I wonder how it's going to hold up, because it definitely controlled a lot better. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and call that the number one spot. And McLeod Gaming, you definitely did a good job of cementing some time wasters as a kid. And like I said, I might be checking out what's going on with the sequel here pretty soon. Well, that's going to wrap up my top 5 Flash games that I revisited that were kind of weird. You know, it was a lot of fun revisiting some games from my childhood and just kind of enjoying them, or maybe feeling a little bit nostalgic. Of course, most of them didn't really age that well. But if you guys liked it, let me know which one's your favorite one. You guys remember any of these? And make sure to leave some suggestions down below for some other Flash games for me to check out, because if I make another video, I'll probably wind up featuring them in the video. But until next time, I got a Smash game I gotta make sure to God dang it, dude. But until next time, I got a Smash game that I need to go pro in. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys all later.